Let's go. Let's go. Wow. Wow. Let's go. So tonight on the live stream, we're not making excuses. You read the title, right? We're not making excuses anymore for the 2020 debacle, because at LSU, we do not go 5-5. We do not go 500 at Louisiana State University. In the name of the Billy Cannons and the Paul Dietzels and the Tyrann Matthews, we will not accept 500. We will not accept 500 in the Southeastern Conference anymore. You've got to raise your standards. All right? Because look, if you guys tune into this live stream tonight and you said, oh, well, Carter's talking about Harry Styles. Carter's talking about Inception. Carter's talking about things that he may or may not be interested in, but it's way off topic. Right? You don't want that. You expect greatness on this channel. And sometimes I deliver it and sometimes I don't. But you guys want a high quality, insightful LSU live stream. So we must do the same for LSU football. And I know what some of you are saying right now. Well, I already expect a lot out of LSU football. And a lot of you might do that already. Because in our last live stream, we said what? We said our bare minimum amount of wins next year needs to be 9, 10, 11. Then if we get to the playoff, 12, 13, 14, 15. We need to be in that range because we're Louisiana State. We recruit in the top 5 nationally. And a lot of you might say that. However, I do find it hypocritical if you do hold LSU football to a higher standard. If you continue to say, well, last year was just the pandemic year where we lost all these guys. That was the only reason we were bad last year. And it was Bo Pelini. It was his fault why we were so bad. And we lost Joe Burrow and Clyde and Grant Delpit and all these LSU legends. We lost all these guys. We lost all these draft picks. Because here's what happens if you chalk it up to factors that no longer affect your team's future. What happens is you think the problem with last year's team was just those things. Okay? You cannot raise the championship standard of your program while at the same time make excuses at the same time over and over and over again. And this is tending to happen more and more because I don't want our discourse to be, well, our discourse, it was a bunch of stuff and that's all in the rear view. No, it was not just that. There are a lot of things that happened with last year's team. Personnel. Some of the coaches are back from last year's team. And I still believe in all of those coaches. I obviously still believe in Ed Orgeron and James Craig and Kev Falk and Corey Raymond, who's back from last year's team. And I believe in the new coaches. But when I'm in LSU group chats and when I read comment sections, that tends to be just the baseline thought that LSU was 100% bad because of the personnel, because we lost all these guys, because of this and that. And the reason why that's a problem is because, well, the same problems kept happening throughout the course of the season, right? We kept having bad protection issues. The same players were struggling each and every week. We struggled with communication. As bad as Bo Pelini was, these are fixable things that were forcing LSU into making the problems that they had. So That's what I want to get at on tonight's live stream, because tonight, what we're going to focus on are some of those things, including this. What if I told you versus Mississippi State, one player who is returning as a starter on next year's team cost us 11 points in that Mississippi State game? What if I told you that one player is also projected to start on next year's team? Well, if we would have had 11 more points versus Mississippi State, obviously that changes the flow of the game. I can tell you this. I've rewatched the Mississippi State game 3 times this week. This one player cost us the game. Ultimately, as much as we blame Bo Pelini and the 623 passing yards we gave up, if this one guy would have done his job on the plays, we would have had 11 more points. We would have won despite all of that. So, look, the reason why I bring that up is to hopefully, as fans, and not only as fans, but the coaches, the players, and everyone involved with LSU football gets past that, because that just seems to be something that is convenient. So here's what I'll do. Mike, as always, when I open up a live stream, Mike always hooks me up with a super chat or a Venmo. So here's what I'll do, Mo Funky, because some of you want to know who the player is. Well, I'll reveal that player if we get the $50 in super chat money. Because Hay is out right now. She's going to be back, and then you guys will get to see Bug and all that cool stuff. Which leads us to our next topic as we welcome in Josh, Eric, Mo Funky, Christian, Trey, Kane. You guys, Trey dropped a $100 super chat in our last video. Corey, what it do? Corey, what's up, man? Saucy, K3, Esteban. Mo Funky, you're close. I'll give you that. You're close. Lawrence, what's up, man? Yeah, baby. So, FYI, next week's live stream will be on a Friday. We'll always do Tuesday night live streams, but the next weekend live stream will be next Friday night. Mo Funky, you're getting closer. I'll confirm it. Carvis, LSU's got the roster. LSU's got the roster to win a national championship next year. We've got all the pieces. We really do. Honestly, we really do. We have all. Oh, this could be, and it honestly should be, a college football playoff roster. It really should. When you factor in Alabama and what they're losing, Florida and what they're losing, you have a head coach who's been there. Ed Orgeron knows obviously how to get to a college football playoff. We still have championship pieces from that team still on this team. But I'll tell you this, Carvis, I know you're just joining us. It won't happen if we keep making excuses. What's up, Leonard? I love it. So we're not going to talk about that. We are also, because I don't like to dodge stories. I don't want anyone to ever think that. This Les Miles story is very important. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on it tonight, but I do want to bring it up. And the reason why I want to bring it up is, and I'm not going to get into the details because there are new developments coming out with this Les Miles story, but I'm going to address it from a real world perspective and a football perspective as well. But I want to get into a topic that I'm getting a lot of questions about. The 2022 recruiting class. My goodness gracious. I am so fired up about the class of 2022. And we get our first super chat tonight. King Mo. Where have you been, King Mo? Trey. Trey, what it do? So, Mo Funky, we're getting closer to that $50 mark, and I'll reveal who that player is. But honestly, this should be a college football playoff roster. At the very least, this should be a New Year's 6 roster. All right? A Rose Bowl level roster. And I'm not just talking about the season opener versus UCLA, which is happening, of course, in the Rose Bowl, aka the best college football stadium on the planet is the Rose Bowl. Unless you go, you will not understand it. Okay. It's old, but there is a mystique. So let's go to King Mo's question. What do you think about Goodwin? I feel like he will be the best pass catcher out of the backs and the fastest. So, first thing about Armani Goodwin, he's already the fastest running back on the team. All right. If you go by 100-meter dash times, Armani Goodwin is stupid fast. Like his time in 8th grade on a 100-meter dash was the near equivalent to Leonard Fournette's senior year 100-meter dash. That's how fast Armani Goodwin was. This was in 8th grade. Now, let's actually break down Armani Goodwin a little bit further. All right. And we will get to Walker Howard in just a moment, Trey, because I said something on my video on Friday that wasn't really like me. I said Walker Howard would win us a national championship. I really do believe that. I really do believe Walker Howard is the next big thing at LSU. And I'm going to give you specific reasons why. Because sometimes with prospects, like I'm about to do with Armani Goodwin, we just throw out a bunch of vague things without actually getting into specifics. So let's start with King Mo and Armani Goodwin. I would be shocked if Armani Goodwin doesn't see the field some this season. Now, let's use Trey Bradford, for instance. Trey Bradford got 10 carries this year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is when you only play 10 games, when you are the clear-cut 4th option. He got a lot of carries, and he got a lot of opportunities to catch the football out of the backfield. So what do we know about the running back position? Well, number one, you get a lot of snaps. You get a lot of snaps at the running back position, right? And what I mean by a lot of snaps is a lot of different players get snaps at running back. It's not like quarterback or any of the offensive line positions where you rotate guys in and out. Running back rotates a little bit more than other offensive positions. Also, something else about Armani Goodwin that is very fascinating is that his high school career was a majority high school shotgun offense, and they ran a spread. And not only did they run the spread, they ran a lot of misdirection out of the spread at his high school. Also, Armani Goodwin played at the highest level of high school football in the state of Alabama, which, when you consider, the states that have the best players, it's California, Florida, Louisiana, Texas. Alabama's probably in that next tier. So he played at the highest level. He's already gone through a serious injury in his junior season, had an incredible senior season, played in a shotgun-heavy offense, and you can look this up on YouTube as well. There's a lot of clips of him running routes. So he is comfortable running routes and catching the football out of the backfield. So a lot of boxes are checked here. Spread offense, obviously an offense that loves to get creative in the running game. His offensive line was really good. He had a really good offensive line. I can't say the same about Corey Kiner. Kiner just made all these spectacular runs. A Goodwin did too, but Goodwin had better blocking. Now, that doesn't mean that Goodwin is any worse than Kiner. You don't want to get too carried away with high school footage. So it's fascinating to watch Armani Goodwin play. He's really smart runner. Runs low to the ground, 5'8". Lots of Clyde in his game. I know Corey Kiner gets compared to Clyde. Ironically, Goodwin is a faster version of of Clyde. He reminds me a lot of what would be a not as fast Jeff Demps, if you remember Jeff Demps for Florida. And they might use him the same way that LSU used Trendon Holiday, a guy that just and he's not as fast as Trendon. Nobody is. Very few are. I'll put it that way. So look, Armani Goodwin, I see him playing a decent amount. If you were to ask me to pick a running back between him and Kiner, I would give Goodwin a slight edge, but it's slight because Corey Kiner can really play as well. So I think the question, King Mo, that would be more fascinating is what Alan said, and you just acknowledge Alan's comment. This is a really good comment. It's the carousel. It's how much do you want to play Goodwin at the expense of getting the other running backs not in a rhythm? We can all agree that LSU rotated their running backs far too often this past season. And if you go look at the snap share and you go look at target percentage of the wide receivers and Clyde and those guys, LSU in 2019 kept it really tight. They kept it really tight. And what I mean by that is the rotation just wasn't as heavy. So the thing here, King Mo, and hopefully this answers your question as well. I don't think asking if Armani Goodwin is going to play a lot is necessarily the right question. I think an even better question to ask would be this: do you like Goodwin and Kiner more than the experienced backs that are already in the room? So this is what's fascinating to me. Running back is so fascinating simply because there aren't many running backs that truly move the needle. And what I mean by that, there's not many running backs that truly make a difference. Okay, all the analytical nerds have been over this, and I'm an analytical nerd as well. But you can go on Twitter and read about this. That running backs is by far the most replaceable position in football right now. Unless, of course, you have Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara. And even then, if you pay those guys too much, now obviously that's the NFL level, but that is even more the case at the collegiate level, where running back has far more players that could replace your production. There's very few Etiennes and Najee Harris's and Fournette's. And even then, when Fournette was there, we arguably got a guy just as talented in the next class in Darius Geis. So it's a very hard position to evaluate. The question I think that would be interesting that Kev Falk has to answer is John Emery and Ty Davis Price so good that you watch them with all the carries that they had last year? Are they so good that they aren't replaceable or that someone else couldn't do better? And the answer to that is maybe, very much a maybe, because last year LSU's offensive line wasn't good. They played with 3 different quarterbacks, so it's kind of hard to evaluate the running game. What I could tell you is this. Number 1, not many spectacular runs last year. Number 2, we struggled to catch the football out of the backfield. Number 3, how many big short yardage carries were we able to convert? We struggled with that so mightily last year. So we'll see what happens. We will. What's up, Tony? Kane, Mo, Funky, Christian, Allen. You know what, King Mo? I've actually heard that from running backs coaches, and I don't know if you were a running back or not, or if any of you were running backs. You know, I didn't play the position in high school, but so what I've done over the past couple of weeks is I reached out to some of my old buddies that are still coaching now. Now I never coach, but I have a lot of friends that still coach, some at the college level. I actually still have friends that are NFL scouts or former NFL scouts. So the way it worked was when I covered LSU football, I would be seated in the press box, but I wouldn't have a great seat in the press box. They would always put, the big beat writers on the front row. And I was actually pretty happy with that because on the back row, I would often be sat by scouts from the CFL and the NFL, and I would pick their brains. They would give me so many little nuggets, and I use that for some of my film studies, and I still talk to these guys on occasion. And one guy who is a former college running back told me that John Emery does run too high. So, there is some truth to that, King Mo. And the good thing about Kiner and Goodwin is both of these guys are short. So it's hard to tackle small backs. And we see that, Derrick Henry, liar, but a lot of the most effective backs we see now are smaller guys, guys that are not burly, old school, Eddie George, Jerome Bettis, Roger Craig types. It's pretty wild. Derrick Henry is the most physically imposing guy I've ever stood next to. And I know everyone says that, but it's true. I stood next to him at the Sugar Bowl when he was a true freshman. And remember, Oklahoma beat Nick Saban with Trevor Knight at quarterback. It was wild. And Derrick Henry is so freaking crazy. He's so freaking crazy. Hey. Hey. Everyone say hi to Hey. How was everything?
Well, they hadn't left yet.
What do you mean hadn't left yet?
Hadn't left yet.
The roadblock? Oh, Heather?
Mm-hmm. So before...
How did they get...
Well, before I went out there, I called her. I was like, hey, I'm going to go check on the kids. She's like, oh, we haven't left yet. We're probably just going to go eat somewhere in town.
Oh, my goodness. They could have gone to Bovines and Wrestling. We were talking about him in the last live stream.
So, I went to Brookshire's. I went back up by the shop because I forgot my cold stuff when we were leaving and such.
Everyone says hey.
Hey. And then talked to Brittany for a while. Went to Brookshire's.
So now on to Walker Howard. All right.
Did you give Bernie her night earlier?
I did not give her night yet. I should have gave her night. I'm sorry.
I'll go get her and give her night.
Let's see. You looked up to him literally. What was that?
Poblano corn hummy.
Oh, corn hummy. So Walker Howard was on, I listened to his interview with T-Bob and Jacob Hester this week. He's obviously very impressive. He's the son of a quarterback. And that means a lot. When you hear a kid, you could tell, he's trying to say the right things, but it seems like he actually does mean it. That kid is a real deal. That kid is a real freaking deal. I'm telling you. I mean, he can really play. Not a year one guy. I don't think any quarterback is ready to play as a true freshman. In fact, I think starting as a true freshman stunts your development. I really do. But 2023, this guy will be the starting quarterback of LSU, and we will be in the contention for national championships if everything continues to work itself out. And Trey, I know I'm a little late getting to your super chat here, but look, Walker Howard is stupid. He's stupid good. And the reason why I say that, I watched his tape and it looked effortless. It looked easy for him. Now, he's not a huge guy. He's, decent quarterback size. Probably when he grows out and then gets in the Moffitt system, he'll get to like Russell Wilson type of body. He's not Kyler Murray either, though. So he's got a decent stature. This kid throws on the run. I saw something that was interesting. So many people made a big deal. Well, he got his fifth star. Okay. What really changed on his 247 profile, though, was his status as a pro style quarterback shifted to a dual threat quarterback. And a huge tenet of the LSU offense is running out of what's called empty set. And when you run empty, where it's just a quarterback and there's no running back there to protect you, guess what's going to happen? Blitzers are going to come unblocked. One thing Walker Howard did consistently, and this kid is only a junior, and what's crazy about it is you cannot replicate this in practice. Making good throws to Jack Besh, there's a lot of good high school quarterbacks that could throw the football to Jack freaking Besh. I mean, he's one of the best high school receivers of all time. If you run the numbers, he really is. Anyone could throw the football to Jack Besh. The difference, though, is his ability to make plays on the fly. He could throw within the framework of the play, but if it doesn't work itself out, he's going to figure it out some way or another. He's going to run for 7 yards, 8 yards. And that is just something that a guy like Myles Brennan doesn't have in his arsenal. Max Johnson has it to a certain degree, but Max Johnson is not an elite runner. I think Walker Howard is actually a better runner than Max Johnson. Dude, the kid's just really freaking good. He's really freaking good. Now, look, Eric is going to destroy me for this because he is a Garrett Nussmeier stan. There is no bigger Garrett Nussmeier fan here than Eric. All right. Garrett Nussmeier is an SEC level quarterback. And obviously, what happens in your development at the college level, you might be so good that it doesn't matter. For instance, Jake Fromm started over Justin Fields. Who is the better quarterback? Well, obviously, it's Justin Fields. But Jake Fromm was still freaking incredible. He should have won a national championship, but Bama didn't get every freaking call in the book. So, look, if Garrett Nussmeier's our starting quarterback for 3 or 4 years, we'll probably still get close, or if not, win a college football playoff. But I'm telling you, Walker Howard is really freaking good. And when I watch him and Quinn Ewers, I'm not a quarterback evaluator. I'm very honest with my evaluations. I've watched both of them. I don't really see much of a difference. Now, I might get old takes exposed here, and Walker Howard turned out to be Ryan Leaf, and Quinn Ewers turned out to be Peyton Manning. But I just don't see a difference. And I think Walker Howard is a real deal Holyfield. I really do. Ugh. No, Trey, you got lucky. Hey, walked in. So we actually just got to the Walker Howard thing. But he's good. And look, I know I hate to be cancerous to a kid's development because I don't like pumping up recruits. You guys know that. And anyone that's watched my channel knows this. But every year there's 1 or 2 guys that LSU gets that makes me go, okay, all SEC. And in last year's class, there was 3 of those guys. It was Sage Ryan, Mason Smith, and JoJo Earl. Didn't work out. JoJo went somewhere else. We ended up getting a better receiver class overall. And, the rest is history. Okay? In this next cycle, just based on their junior, we haven't seen any of their senior tape. And the senior tape is very important. Walker Howard's that guy. He's that guy. And it just happens to be that it's at quarterback, which is where you want it to be. So look, and it could be that if Walker Howard turns out to not be any good and he is, or something, he gets distracted off the field like Ryan Perrilloux, you guys could come back and blame me for cursing the kid. But he's really freaking good. And I've done a little bit of homework. He's got a good work ethic. It helps his dad. And then there's the story about it, the tragic story about his mother, which I hate. And I got emotional listening to him, bringing up his mom in an interview. The interview earlier this week. This kid, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if we are not a multiple year 10-win program with him as our starting quarterback. Shocked. So let me go to Max here. TDP, you have 2 comments here, Max. TDP and Emery are our backs. We just need a competent O-line. Okay. I'm for it. So let me ask, let me go to your quarterback comment, and we'll get back to TDP and Emery. God, he really missed Max Johnson. He ran a 4.7 junior year, and he probably runs 4.5 right now. He's got athleticism similar to Max, let's slow down just a little bit. Okay. Now, a jump from a 4.7 to a 4.5 is a jump. All right. I don't know if Max Johnson runs 4.5. He very well could. Based on the carries that we saw this year, he's not an explosive runner. A lot of quarterbacks aren't explosive runners, though. Okay. He's not a dangerous runner, right? I view his running ability very similar to the running ability of, Max Johnson's running ability to a decent runner. Who would be a decent running quarterback that I could use? Anyway, it's not a deadly asset to his game. Also, I love Max Johnson, and I agree that Trevor Lawrence is an overall overrated quarterback, okay? His college career was just slightly overrated. But Max Johnson comes nowhere close to the pure athleticism of Trevor Lawrence. Nobody does. Actually, very few. Very few come close to Trevor Lawrence's athleticism. Speed, size, strength, arm strength. Max Johnson is not that, and he's not close to Trevor Lawrence's athleticism. I would be lying. And Max, I love you. And you super chatted, so I'm running a risk disagreeing with you here. Trevor Lawrence is a freak athlete, generational athlete. Now, he's not a generational talent. There are some things I don't like about his quarterbacking that leads me to believe he won't be the NFL player that he is, or that a lot of people expect him to be. But look, that's no shade towards Trevor Lawrence or Max Johnson. But if we're talking pure athleticism, Max Johnson is not close to Trevor Lawrence. He's just not. He's still a very good athlete with an above average arm and above average running ability. And he's accurate. He's calm in the pocket. He's still learning. He played pretty well as a true freshman. The Florida performance was by far our best single game performance of the year at the quarterback position. So look, I no shade towards Max Johnson, but if we're talking pure athleticism, Max Johnson is not Trevor Lawrence. He's not. But you see, Max, I don't think he runs like him either. Trevor Lawrence was a deadly runner. He was an unbelievable runner. Trevor's a deadly runner. But I get your point. Now, there are some similar traits to the both. Some similar traits. But your point had more. You were just throwing a comparison because comparisons are tough, right? Like,
hey, babe. You ready to eat, Mama?
Trevor Lawrence will be a solid, but not. I agree with that, Alan. I do agree with that. But Max, your point though, your overall point, Max, is true. Max Johnson is a really good athlete. He is a very good athlete. And he very well could be a 3-year starter. What I think, if you were to ask me how our quarterback room is going to play out over the next couple of years. All right. 2021, our starter is going to be Max or Myles. TJ's got a chance, but Max or Myles will more than likely be the starting quarterback for 2021. Then for 2022, if Max Johnson gets 9, 10-ish wins, if he is a starter, he's more than likely going to be the starter for 2022. Then Walker Howard comes in, Garrett Nussmeier gets another year. Then for 2023, if Max decides to come back, I think at that point, he would be ready for the NFL draft if he was a 2-year starter at LSU.
She's getting her food.
Then in 2023, it becomes the Walker Howard and Garrett Nussmeier battle. Or Arch Manning, Eli Holstein coming into that true freshman foray. Nick, you're a big Nuss guy too. You're a big Nuss guy. What about Jack Dorsey? Who's Jack Dorsey? Who is Jack Dorsey? I'm trying to think. So you think Nuts is only going to start 1 year?
I got Farmy.
And then
Go, baby, go. Eat your food.
so we'll see. So Max, does that answer your Max had another super chat here about TDP and Emory. Okay. So let me ask you this, Max, and everybody watching this. How many of you feel confident in the offensive line going into next season? How many of you feel confident about the group? The returning group. Let me clarify this. The 5 starters, and Carvis, I know you've pointed this out a few times, move Austin Deculus inside. I actually do agree with that. But let's say LSU decides to run out the same 5 starters as last year.
Like bagger.
Oh, Max, I didn't answer your let me see. Okay, let me ask you this. Oh, so you don't feel confident that, let's say we run the same 5 starters out. Okay. So let's take this a step further. Look, baby, Cliff's in this one tonight. Cliff's back. It's been a while, Cliff. Back in BR. Christian, I'm telling you, man, I am NyQuil'd on Garrett Nussmeier. Let's see.
Bernie. Oh, she's done.
No, Josh, I think Met has hung it up.
Hey, Uncle Cliff.
Uncle Cliff. Let's see, Cliff tweeted me out a minute ago. I got to retweet that to let the world know. We are streaming.
You didn't retweet.
I didn't retweet Cliff. Tackle football.
Where you going now, big girl?
Did she already eat her food?
You go bad.
Look, didn't even wait for
she's got a
her.
boom.
She's got a boom. Oh my God. Get her out before she booms in here. Because she's used to booming in here now.
No, she is
Not in here, but she's used to booming because she was at your parents for a week and she couldn't go boom because of all the snow.
Oh, snow, yeah. But she boomed on a piddle.
It is turtle heading.
Baby, I'm go. Come on, Mom. Let's
Oh
get
my God.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
go,
yeah,
bud?
yeah,
Go
yeah.
out. Oh no.
You ready to go, babe? Let's go.
Go ahead.
By the way, there's a massive haze all over.
I know. Did you see all that fog? It's like the
No.
Florida game.
No,
It's crazy. Were you able to drive safely, baby?
it's not from the fog.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Prayers for everybody.
prayer. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, Kane. So, look. Our best reserve guard is Marlon Martinez. Carver says, I agree. It's more about the offensive scheme. Interesting. All right. So, the more I watch the offensive line, and this is going to sound so bad. Right? The more I think it was just one guy who really held them back. One guy. Jason Hines. It's every single time I go. And look, because this channel has done what it's done, I feel as if I need to go back and watch games over and over because you guys trust me with this analysis, and I trust you guys to check me on this. Here was my big problem, is that LSU has all these offensive line coaches, okay? It's not just James Craig, all right? If you go back and look at the Leadership Council dinner, LSU actually had an offensive line analyst at the dinner sitting next to Ed Orgeron. Jason Hines, I don't know why they never took him out of the game. And because Mo Funky has been patient, it was Jason Hines that cost LSU 11 points versus Mississippi State. And look, red zone. And you guys remember the crazy Myles Brennan throw to Eric Gilbert for the touchdown. But there was another drive where LSU was down 17-14, and we were running the football at will. And what happened was they faked an injury. Aaron Brule, ironically from New Orleans, faked an injury. So that allowed Mississippi State's defense to reset. We tried to run on first down and second down, and we were stuffed. Now, why we kept running TDP in short yardage situations when he was never getting the yardage, we kept trying it against Missouri. And as you guys saw in the film study, the only time it worked for a touchdown, Missouri wasn't even lined up. Then we tried it against Texas A&M. It didn't work. Then we tried it against Alabama. Still didn't work. We were still doing the same thing. All right? It wasn't working. It wasn't working. So, and then we tried to do it against Florida with Chris Curry, and it didn't work. Anyway, what happened was we tried on first down, didn't work. Second down. And if you guys want me to do a film study on this play, I would happily do it. The only problem is, unfortunately, with YouTube, I'm not allowed to make money off the film study. So it's a lot of work, and, this is what I do now. But I'll do it. I'll happily do it. Because I don't want you guys just to be think that I'm just blowing smoke. So what I remembered was a middle linebacker on third down. We decided to throw. And Mississippi State sacked Myles Brennan, and we had to settle for a field goal. Well, I went back and rewatched the play, and they did give us an end zone angle of the play, and Jason Hines blew the block. He let the guy go right through the A-gap, and it should have been his assignment to pick up the A-gap blitzer. I reached out to two college coaches. One is an offensive line coach. One is a college play caller. And I said, and they don't follow LSU as closely as I do, I said, can you break this down? Can you break this play down for me and tell me whose fault this is without knowing the play call and everything? And they both said right guard. And they both agreed that if Jason Hines would have picked up the blitz, Myles Brennan would have had some time. And the way the play worked out, it was supposed to look right. If the outside backer didn't blitz, you toss it to the running back. Well, they didn't blitz from that side. To the left side of the play, Jeray Jenkins and Trey Palmer were wide open in the end zone. If we pick up that A-gap blitzer, we score a touchdown. Instead, we settle for a field goal. So that was 4 points, okay? Then, if you remember in the game, Racey McMath had a double move. Myles Brennan threw it his way, but his arm got hit. Part of that is on Myles Brennan because he's got to step up and help out his offensive line. But also part of that was on Jason Hines because he got blown back into Myles Brennan, who was throwing the football, and that would have been a touchdown. That was a 7-point swing, and that was 11 points we did not have versus Mississippi State. But the thing was, it just kept happening. His play kept deteriorating from that point on. So I said, look, let me go a little bit deeper. Let me do more research on Jason Hines. So the first thing, when it came down to his recruitment, we didn't know if he was going to play defensive tackle or right guard. So when he initially got to LSU, Jason Hines said, I'm going to play defensive line. Okay, so he gets there, and he's expecting to play defensive line. Then he switches over to the offense side of the football. Now he's going to be playing center. Right? He was a backup as a center, and then Liam Shanahan comes over, then he's not going to be the center anymore. And if you go back and look at some of his old LSU camp footage, it was him playing center. So playing center, and then right guard. Okay. And then some people say, well, he's better at left guard. Some people say he's a better defensive tackle. He's obviously a really good athlete, right? Well, the problem is before the season even began, Ed Orgeron said in an interview that Jason Hines and the Jason Hines and Liam Shanahan thing, we need to get the communication right. And Ed Orgeron said this in an interview. So that lets me know that that was a concern going into the season. So we knew that this was something, and we never fixed it. And I don't like to put anything too much on a college athlete, but what was happening was the play was getting so bad to where it was costing us the chance to win football games. I don't know. That was my biggest issue, is that when players like Jason Hines and Cordell Flott, who we expected to be good, and Damon Clark, when we expect them to be good and they're not good, well, you need to bench them for not only the betterment of the team, more importantly, the betterment of the player. Because what happens, and if any of you guys have ever struggled when playing your sport, you know what happens when you start struggling? In the back of your head, you're like, oh my God, I am really sucking right now. Am I going to get benched? Then you start playing even more tentatively, and you struggle more because it's all in your head. The best thing that can happen to you when you are struggling horribly is to get benched. It is the best thing to happen because you sit down, you calm down, you watch film, you work harder to get back on the field, and it makes you better. And the problem LSU had last year, they had a lot of reasons for not benching guys. They were worried about numbers, and they were worried about guys transferring, and they were worried about players' egos because players are now transferring and all those things. You've got to bench bad players. You've got to bench players that are struggling. And that's not saying that Jason Hines and Cordell Flott cannot play Division I college football in the Southeastern Conference. That's not what I'm saying. The best thing that could happen to them, or just any struggling player, sit them, sit their butts on the bench. Then they can take a deep breath. And then when they are called upon again, guess what? They'll be ready to go. Hines wears skinny jeans. Well, I wear skinny pants too. When I was on stage, I would wear skinny pants all the time when I did stand up. Let's see. But look, here's the thing. Anytime an LSU football player puts on that uniform, I'm a 110% fan of them, and I want them to succeed. And when I point out a struggling player, it hurts me. But the more I watched and the more that I've gotten more opinions on this, and what I'm going to do, and this was so cool, a college offensive line coach actually drew some of the protection schemes up for me. He actually drew it up. He drew up the exact play that I'm talking about. And I was like, okay. So a guy that is paid to do this is telling me that this is a problem. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm telling you this. I got benched as a starting midfielder on my soccer team, and I was so sad. I was just struggling. And when I got my spot back, I never relinquished it. I was able to sit back. I was playing a newer position, and I learned from that. Watching, that's my opinion. Martinez played a little right guard and did very well. Let's see. You know, also, Cam Wire is also an option to play right guard and put Deculus at right tackle. We'll see. That's not what Kane was saying, though. Kane was checking Mo Funky, saying Hines is not smart or dedicated enough, in my opinion. You know what? I disagree with that. I do. Because, look, I don't think any of us are in a position to say someone is not smart enough or is not dedicated enough. Uh, Dedication is kind of tough to gauge. Now, what was interesting, if you guys want, I'll share a personal anecdote. So, my sophomore, junior year of college, I lived in West Campus Apartments, which is on LSU's campus, and a lot of players lived in that area. So, I was able to actually talk to players in a more intimate setting. Like we would be playing NCAA football and eating pizza and doing all these things together, and it was fun. And there was a player, and I won't share his name because he transferred. When he got there, he was a 4-star recruit. He simply told me, Carter, I don't want to work. I don't, it is not in my burning desire to play football anymore. And it chilled me to my bones because I never said back to him, you idiot. My dream is to play LSU football. It always is my dream. I wanted to tell him, what are you doing? This is a golden ticket. This is what everybody wants. Every high school football player. And I think about when I go on Twitter and I see all these guys tweeting at Ed Orgeron with their high school huddle tape and their GPA. If you're on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. And I said, wow, this is crazy. And he's like, I just don't want it. And that's why dedication is something that I'm very tentative about because it is something that I preach. Players need to be dedicated, but it's hard to specifically say if someone is not dedicated to their craft or not. But I do agree that picking up blitzes was something that he did struggle with. And that does come down to processing information quickly. How hard do you want to study the tape and pick up on blitzes? Some of that isn't necessarily even on Hines. A lot of this is on the coaches. I don't understand how this continued to happen. What's up, Yusha? Huh? Kane, I did not. I will share stories from those days, but I did not. And I'm not just saying that because Haley's in the other room. We've talked about our histories. She went to a different college. Obviously, she went to Middle Tennessee. I went to LSU. But look, that's it was crazy. It was wild. You know what's funny is some of the players that ended up, there were so many players that I saw that ended up marrying the ex of other players. And I'm like, God, that is just so interesting. And I noticed that. I mean, that's with a lot of friend circles, right? A lot of friends that end up marrying the exes of other friends. Yeah, Mo Funky, it's not bad to question dedication overall. I just tend to stay away because it is just so hard. It's so hard. Let me see. Let me see. It's good. So we're about an hour in. You guys haven't seen Bug yet, have you? We'll get Bug on here in a second. I think she went back out. We want Bug. Hayes outside. Hayes been on one this week. You guys saw in the video. I included. Hayes had a week. Huh? She's in rare form this week. I agree, Christian. I think we will get to watch a better quality of football this year since most teams will have full spring training. So, look, this is part of what I was referencing early is you are right about that. And this isn't actually necessarily, you are right. We're going to get a better overall quality of football. You know, I'm kind of mixed on that line of thinking, though, because I don't, and I really do mean this, I don't want to get caught up in the excuses. I just don't. I don't want to be that guy that says, well, LSU is going to be better because we have the full spring. Because, yes, and it's not so much necessarily the install, it's LSU's got really fancy workout equipment. And I did a video on it right before the start of last season. And I said LSU, I feared them being out of shape because they didn't get the full Tommy Moffitt, whatchamacallit. So the problem with that is, well, our guys were a little winded. Yeah, did you notice that? We were a little tight. We were a little heavy-footed throughout the course of the season. And that just can't happen again. We have to be in better shape. We really do. So, yes, the spring will help out with that. I do agree with you, Christian. However, I don't want it to be one of those things where we say, oh, well, the only reason we weren't good last year is because we didn't have spring. And what's fascinating about that is I was listening to Nick Saban in a press conference say, look, one thing that he focused on was understanding Zoom technology. And Saban and Pete Golding, as defensive coordinator, said that they learned how to master how to do a good Zoom call with their players, how to get them to focus and pick up on, different defenses that they were studying virtually. And that's one of those things. It's just adapting and understanding new technologies and all of that is very important. Alan says Pelini is 90% of last year's problem. I do agree with that. I do agree Bo Pelini was a big reason why LSU was awful. But I wouldn't go so far to say 90. I would say half of the team's problems were Bo Pelini. And I think the other 25% of that is, I'll put it this. I would say 50% was Bo Pelini and Linehan or whoever. Then 25% is just the attrition. But then the other 25% were self-inflicted wounds, not fixing pass protection, not benching players that are struggling, game management errors. Play calling was an issue, obviously, on both sides of the ball. Timeout management was an issue. All these things were issues. So, that kind of all concocts itself into what was the problem. Yeah, Christian, I noticed. I know. I wasn't trying to misconstrue your words. You are right, though, Christian. I was diverting into a different point, but you are correct. The quality of football will be better. But we'll see. Defense will. I think defenses will be better, especially knowing. Number one, obviously, when Kyle Trask and Mac Jones leave the conference, along with Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, Trevon Grimes, Devonta Smith, Najee Harris, when all these guys are leaving, obviously, those offenses are going to suffer. Ole Miss could be a very interesting team this next year. They get Matt Corral back. The Lane Train's going to have a better defense next season, so we'll see. So we are about an hour in, and this was the scheduled time that I wanted to bring up quickly the Les Miles story. Now, look, if you honestly go look at this, a lot of LSU websites and people avoid talking about serious matters such as this because, well, it's hard to talk about, one, and number two, it loses viewers and it loses clicks. To me, I don't care about that second part. I'm going to do stuff that I like to do and that you guys like to listen to. So I do take that into the equation. The reason why I waited until the live stream is because it's a little bit better to discuss in a live format than in a heavily edited format. The reason why as well is because this story is still developing. And as we learn more, we understand that there is a cover up aspect to the story. And yes, that is the old regime. And yes, and you should thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, that was Joe Oliva and Les Miles. But even with that said, there are still people in powerful positions at the university that still, and I mean still, work for the university. So, the more reporting USA Today and The Advocate are going to do on this, the more details we're going to learn about it. Obviously, that the accusations against Les Miles are bad, as are the facts of what we know about Geis and Davis and whatnot. What I do want to bring up, though, is the football aspect of this on top of all those horrible things. Notice Les Miles the whole time was replaceable. He was replaceable. Even in retrospect, we didn't need retrospect to know that this guy was not even really that great of a football coach, especially from 2014 on. He put too much on the shoulders of Leonard Fournette. We became even more static. The team meetings continued to deteriorate. The innovation wasn't there. And we wasted the early Aranda years. We wasted the Jamal Adams and the Arden Keys and all these great players because Les Miles did not want to evolve. And it cost us. It cost us. Go look at the 2016 LSU team. And if you go look at the advanced metrics on that team, some people call the 2016 team the greatest 4-loss team in the history of college football, based on the amount of NFL guys we had on that team and all those things. So, on top of being a mediocre coach, a replaceable coach who made game management error after game management error, he was also a horrible person that powerful people, according to the reporting of The Advocate, once again, this is early in the story, and we haven't heard Les Miles give his full thing, and innocent until proven guilty, all those things. But this reporting is pretty damaging to the point where powerful people were allegedly covering up things of this nature. At what expense, though? The reputation of the university that I love. Okay? So here's the thing. While he was being a very replaceable football coach, he was doing very evil things, allegedly, at the expense of all the people at LSU who did things the right way, at the expense of all these great NFL players we had. And we weren't close to beating Alabama's. We weren't close. How does the 2016 team lose 4 games? Freaking Darius Geis and Fournette on the same freaking team. Jamal freaking Adams. Jamal freaking the prime of the best safety in the NFL is Jamal Adams, and we wasted it for a bad dude. So, what does this mean? What can we learn from this? That nobody is beyond reproach. Nobody. 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 That should be your lesson. Not Ed Orgeron, not Joe Burrow, not anyone. Not anyone is worth covering up crappy behavior. Number one, you shouldn't cover up evil, crappy behavior. Number two, LSU is LSU. Those letters mean something. There will be great teams after Les Miles and when Ed Orgeron hangs it up. There will be great players in the state of Louisiana. There will be a passionate fan base that watches a gray-haired 32-year-old man talk about LSU football in the heart of off-season on a Saturday night. There is this rabid group of fans like us that love this program. This is not going anywhere. It is not worth it if one coach is prehistoric and doing very evil things off the field. Terminate him. Terminate him. Bottom line. And look, this is, here's something I don't want the channel to be. I don't want to be a high morality person. Because what a lot of powerful people in the media do, and I'm not a powerful person in the media, but what a lot of people do is they put themselves on a moral high horse. And anytime a famous athlete or coach or whoever missteps, they just crap on them. And when they crap on them, a lot of people watch them and they get 1 million views and whatnot. I don't want this to be this way. Les Miles did do some good. He did a lot of good. He won a national championship. I don't want this to be one of those kind of channels. But I want to be fair. I want to be honest with you. So, I didn't want you guys to think I was dodging it, but this stuff is really painful. Emil, what's up? You know what, Kane? That's another side to it. The timing is kind of interesting there as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But overall, Les Miles was a very replaceable, mediocre coach. Josh, we're about to get Booger up here.
Hi, Beard.
Come on. Bring her here, bro. Josh has to go to bed, and he said he wants to see Bug.
Okay.
Come on, Bud.
Here, Beard.
We got all the Les Miles stuff out of the way.
Come on.
You should. It's your super chat. What would you like to talk about? Let me get my baby girl. Everyone say out of Big. She doesn't have a sweaty on tonight. Got a little humid. How does it ice and then ooh. Our baby girl. Did she boom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she got that boom out? How'd you get it up? Did you use
I got a paper towel.
Oh, you got paper towel?
Mm-hmm.
But then what did you throw? Did you throw the paper towel outside? Okay. We always get pine cones, and
we're gonna get a pooper scooper.
No, pine cones are way better than a pooper scooper. It's nature. Oh my God. And she ate without me?
She did, baby.
Booger, how do you eat food without your... Bug, they said tartar is starting to become the...
No.
Eric says, what's good, hey?
Hi, Aaron.
Bug does need a jersey. Number 7 jersey.
If anybody would like Ninja Punt, she's shaking, baby.
She's ready to go up?
Yep.
All right, good night, Bug. I'll be up there in a second. Shoot. Some of you guys caught Haley's call. What's up?
Go ahead. Haley's call?
Well, we played the call on your thing.
Wait till I get back to this.
She wants to discuss the situation with you. Don't get in Hey-Hey's business. Oh, you trained with Les Miles' son? That's crazy. On these streets, y'all see that? Hey, don't play. So look, last thing on the Les Miles thing. So one of you guys asked this question on the last live stream, or it was a live stream recently. Little Germanicus, is LSU baseball on? Is LSU baseball on right now? So can I share this?
All right.
Well, no, the situation got cleared up, but someone got in Haley's business, and she does not like it when people get in her business.
In my business.
No, this was real business, like bottom line kind of stuff. Danny, oh, the Pelicans are getting schooled? I don't watch the Pelicans. Number one, I don't have League Pass. Number two, I don't watch the Pelicans while I do this live stream because I just get too into it. I really do. I'm a diehard Pelly. I didn't put this down here. You're gonna get mad because I didn't do the shout out.
No, I'm not gonna get mad.
No, I didn't do my cash tag. Oh, pals.
I let the water running this whole time.
You
Sorry, baby. Was it bothering you?
No, it wasn't bothering me.
You don't even pay no attention.
So I get this question a lot. What is your most memorable LSU experience? Okay. You want to know the one memory? Okay. My happiest, of course, was going to the national championship game with my dad. And I was able to go to all 4 of the national championship games with my dad in New Orleans. Very lucky. All right. However, none of those 4 games were my most memorable experience.
Very lucky, my dad.
Okay. Nor was the Arkansas triple overtime game. That used to be it. Because defeats sting more than wins. They sit in your head, right? I remember watching Nick Saban after this last national championship. Scott Van Pelt asked him, hey, what was it like winning 7 national championships? He says, I still think about Clemson all the time. And I'm like, really? You say that now? So anyway, Nick Saban aside, you think about the losses more. However, my most memorable experience was a win that should have been a loss. I was on the field and on the goal line for the Tennessee game in 2010. The T-Bob Hebert snap game. I was on the field for that game. And I was on the LSU sideline for that game. So the reason why I say that, is because that game shared everything that was wrong with the Les Miles regime. Everything. And I am not going to lie. When the end of the Tennessee game happened, I remember watching a few LSU players slam their helmets to the ground and scream. I remember how violent it was on the sideline. Not necessarily fighting, but just the screaming. Like, what the F are we doing? I remember the chaos. And not just looking at the field, but looking at the communication and Russell Shepard trying to figure out what he was supposed to do and Jordan Jefferson running in it. I will never forget that. There will never be anything that surpasses that for me. It is because you guys know how I am about this. The reason why that game sticks with me is obviously I'm happy we won the game. Life is too short to not be happy about a win. However, I am a process-oriented guy, and you hear Nick Saban talk about the process. I don't necessarily care how you win, but that does count for something. And the process behind an unranked, bad Tennessee team, us taking a miracle, then we were gifted the miracle to potentially win the game on the 1 yard line. Then we get another miracle, and then we win the game. I will never forget that. I will never forget it. I will never forget it. And that day was the day where I went on KLSU radio. I was a student radio host or whatever. And I said, Les Myles should no longer be employed as the head football coach at LSU. And it just stuck with me, seeing the players. And I knew a lot of the players that were on the sideline, all the hard work that they put in to just getting in the right position to play. And to see their mixture of emotions that they lost the game, but then they had won, and the incompetence that went into the loss, you still won. The players were conflicted. And to see the look on the players' faces, to not that time where I saw, because a lot of the players ran on the field and formed a pile, and then after they were just kind of like in a daze. So bizarre. It was so freaking bizarre. And look, I know some of you are saying, well, the Troy loss. Well, the Troy loss was still a little bit of an ABC loss. Okay. It was kind of, we shouldn't have lost, right? But the Troy loss kind of feels like the Nick Saban ULM loss. Okay. It was early in the regime of Ed Orgeron. You lost a game you should never lose. So what? It's happened. The Tennessee game has never happened. The sequence of events leading up to how that final play happened, it will never happen again. And that was, and this was Les Myles many years into his regime. So that should not have happened. There was no excuse for that. And that is what happened. That is true, Kane. And in fact, Brennan Harris is being recruited right now by Sean McVay to join the Rams. Now, I don't know if he turned that job down or not.
You should have got more punch today.
Are we out?
You have a little bit left if you want to save it for your dinner.
We don't have any more punch mix?
You don't have any more tea for punch.
I don't have any more tea for punch. I was at the store to get the tea. Emil, a lot of people do. He was particularly bad. And what's funny, Emil, is it really should have been a lot worse. We got bread. Ooh, that Italian bread that you just dip in the olive oil and you just soak it. I love it.
Warm it up in this.
Yeah, just warm it up in that.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm not ready to eat.
I know that, but I'm just saying, when you get ready to.
That looks like a good concoction.
My ass gonna be sleep.
You're gonna go to sleep.
This is the pork tenderloin pasta that Daddy got.
Okay.
And then you got your chicken parm and lasagna.
Lasagna? Okay. A little bit of lasagna.
So I'm gonna put all this on your plate together because I'm gonna be dead sleep by the time you get ready to eat. Thank you.
But I thought we were gonna cuddle up and watch a movie later, and
who is?
Me and you.
No.
So, that's what's funny, Emma Cat. Everything that led up to that Tennessee game, or the Tennessee win. So we got a 4th and 1 stop because Kelvin Shepard hit stick. What's it? Let's do it back to 2011. Do you think Les would still be the head coach of Oklahoma State, had gotten into the national championship, and we had won? Ooh, interesting. No, I don't. Because, okay, obviously a lot changes after that. So, so the 2011 thing happened, and then, arguably, and no one likes to really talk about this, and the funny thing is I actually bought more Tyrann Mathieu cards.
Oh, Jesus.
It was $2. So, look, losing Tyrann Mathieu going into 2012 really hurt us because he was the leader of that team. So, what happened? I mean, everyone went in such a deep depression after 1-9-12. But if they do play Oklahoma State, LSU beats Oklahoma State in New Orleans. Oklahoma State had Justin Blackman. We had the best secondary ever. And we would have matched up really well. We would have beaten them. We would have beaten Oklahoma State. Look, that's such a crazy hypothetical, though, because that would make Les Miles a 2-time national championship winning coach. I just think it was just, it got so rancid and it was so blatantly obvious, hit stick, that he was a problem that they just kind of had to move on. Whitetail says, why did she take your food? I'm curious.
I don't eat pasta. Whoever said that?
No. Whitetail said his wife took his food. What were y'all having tonight, Whitetail? It's a curious story. We got to get to the bottom of this. We got to get to the bottom of this story.
Whitetail like a whitetail deer. Right? Isn't that what
Short draw whitetail.
That's a very nice name.
Brennan Whedon. I like that. Brandon Whedon. So you know what else is really fascinating is, I didn't share this yet. But we have the book.
Yeah, sure.
I want to share this with you guys. And some of you saw this on Twitter. And I bring this up because so this was interesting. This is a book on education by Myron. I still don't know how to say his last name. Duke? Canadians have weird last names. Myron Duke. And you're probably wondering why you holding up a book about it. Myron interviewed and quoted me on a book about education. This guy right here, a 2.7 GPA. Okay. Now look, I have a lot of family members that are smart and went to Ivy League schools. Okay. I didn't, and I had a horrible GPA at LSU.
Oh, baby, stop.
I did. I graduated at 2.7. I was not a good student. And it was so weird that this renowned education author reached out to me and interviewed me and asked me about Jarvis Landry. So this was just so strange when I got this call. And this was about 7 or 8 months ago. I got this call and he talked to me for an hour about an article I wrote for Bleacher Report. And it's funny. I received this book 7 years to the day that I wrote the article for Bleacher Report, and it went kind of viral about Jarvis Landry. And he read it, a Canadian, and he said, and basically the point of the article was, I thought Jarvis Landry was going to be an NFL Pro Bowl player, despite running a 4.8 at the NFL Combine, or 4.7, or whatever the time was. And he interviewed me and asked me, he got my thoughts on Tom Brady. Why do these NFL teams get all these guys wrong? And he said, what? And so I started getting into Jarvis Landry had I really do believe this. Jarvis Landry saved Les Miles' job by single-handedly beating Arkansas in that game in Tiger Stadium where Anthony Jennings led the game-winning drive and the game-winning play was called by Jarvis Landry. To this day, that's the greatest single game offensive performance I've ever seen at LSU outside of the 2019 championship team. Because that game had everything. Jarvis Landry didn't have Odell in that game. He lost Zach Mettenberger in that game. He made that stupid one-handed catch. I still don't know what went through his mind to think that he could pin the football against another human being and make that catch. And you go look at his stat line. It was 7 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. It wasn't anything crazy. But not only he did that, he called the game-winning play so his backup quarterback could make an easy throw for the win. And the game-winning play was called Tsunami, and that play was from a prior coaching regime. So that adds to the mystique of the play. He went to an offensive play caller and said, look, let's run this play we used to run. I know it's going to work. And coming out of a timeout, it worked. And Trayvon Durrell scored a wide open touchdown. That performance let me know that that dude was NFL material. More so than anything else, because you hear me talk about this on this channel. How well do you perform when everything doesn't go your way? Jarvis Landry was playing for a lame duck coach, a backup quarterback at the end. His best friend and receiving cohort wasn't on the field. Jeremy Hill was banged up. His offensive line was banged up. His defense was having a rough game. And they were going up against a team that they were a 24-point favorite. I'll never forget it. And Jarvis Landry, in his final year, said, look, he knew he was going to the NFL draft. He had every reason to pack it up. But that dude has the heart of a lion. The heart of a lion. And those are the kind of people that inspire me. That's why Jarvis inspires me so much. Because nothing, absolutely nothing went his way. Nothing. And he won the game. At wide receiver, it's one thing at quarterback where you get the ball every play. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild. So I wrote that article with that in mind because guess what? The NFL Combine didn't go his way. Didn't go his way. And it's crazy because my school career didn't go my way. I did not have a good GPA. So it was an honor to be interviewed for a book on education. So I wanted to share that with you guys in my former job. Emil, yes, they can. Mina Kimes made an interesting point. She said that none of the quarterbacks that have been drafted since 2016 have really worked that are pocket quarterbacks. And she's kind of right. Like, Jared Goff hasn't really done anything. Well, he went to a Super Bowl, but that was, Aaron Donald and Brandon Cooks. I mean, that team was loaded. Michael Brockers. That man blessed all the way from Turkey, from Little Rock. Checking in we got Turkish viewers in here. That's great, man. Wait, I thought a 2.7 is a C. I thought 3.0 was B. But really, guys, 2.7 is my 40-yard dash time. Okay? Just letting you know. You pronounce that name Dweck? Mo Funky, are you Canadian? Do you know? Myron is like so smart, though. Like, you could tell. Yeah, you guys ever notice that? Like, when you talk to someone for the first time and you know that they're like way smarter than you, it's weird. It's so weird. C plus B minus. Christopher, what's good? Carvis, you're one of the smartest football minds I know, but I'm going to trust Trey on this one. C plus. Adam. Oh, I didn't know Dweck was French. I did not know that. So there we go. You know what's funny about Tom Brady? I was thinking about him earlier today. One thing Tom Brady consistently does in the playoffs, because his best Super Bowl was versus the Eagles, where he threw for over 500 yards. He was amazing, and he lost. So he had to be exceptional. And he threw a pick six versus the Falcons in that Super Bowl. But you know what's interesting about Tom is that he never loses games in the playoffs. You ever notice that? He never loses you the game. because the NFL playoffs is just so weird. And the best thing a quarterback can do is just not lose a game. I think, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Peyton Manning's Super Bowl year, when he won the Super Bowl with the Colts, I think he was 3 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. None of those were to Marvin Harrison, and I think his highest quarterback rating was 80. Now think about the great Peyton Manning. So earlier, how does that apply to this now? Well, so many of you have commented saying, well, Max Johnson should be our starter because he was 2-0. Well, quarterback wins are such an inexact science, right? I don't think we can just now, if you have an overwhelming amount of wins like Tom Brady, then obviously it's not a fluke. Drew Brees isn't a fluke. That's not my point. My point is individual, especially with small sample sizes, like 2. I don't think we could just point at Max Johnson being 2-0 and Myles Brennan being 1-2 as your sole justification as to why a guy should start over the other. Carvis, yeah, you will be teaching soon, Mr. PhD. Yeah, I think, isn't that right, baby? 2.7 is a C+. Oh, she's got her noise canceling Apple Pods in. Carvis, you better get this grading. Look, Carvis, I wish that was a B-. I wish you were right. So, guys, what would you like to talk about? We're an hour and a half into it. Also, as we get some more topics to continue this discussion, wait, Carvis is right? Wait, is Carvis right? A 2.7 is a B+ now or B-? V-Law, what's good? Wait, is Carvis right? So C is 2.7. Is that a C+? Oh, it is a B now? 2.5 is a B now? 2.5 to 3.5 is a B? Okay. I like that. Round up, baby. I was a B student at LSU. I'm going to go to all my professors and say, look, those C's, it got me a degree, baby, but look, I'm a B student. Oh, my goodness. Trey, how did Trey, you're a college and Trey, you have missed. Oh, man. Okay, so let's go to the safety and cornerback. All right. Did you guys see this today? So Shea Dixon wrote that for the final scholarship spot, Ed Orgeron is going after that kid that signed with Texas A&M, but rescinded his signature. So did you see that? Did you see that Dylan Brooks obviously did that for Tennessee, and the entire Tennessee staff gets fired, and he says, look, I don't want to go there anymore, and he goes to Auburn, which ironically also got a new staff, which is kind of weird, but it is closer to home. So Trey, hey, Trey, that's good, man. It's good. So what LSU is doing now is they're going after another safety, and his name slips my mind. He's out of Oklahoma. He is the 101st ranked prospect. So he's a high-level 4-star. And if LSU gets this safety, that would give them Sage Ryan, Derek Davis Jr., and this guy. Well, could someone look up the kid's name? He's out of Oklahoma. He's really impressive. He's 6'4", so he's pretty big for safety. And that would give LSU 3 of the top 5 safeties in the SEC. And the reason why he got out of this NLI is because he there was a defensive analyst at Texas A&M who left Texas A&M to go to Miami. So what's fascinating about that is if I was a prospect, I would never go to a school because an analyst is at that school that I like a lot. I can understand going to play for a position coach. One thing I do not understand is going to a school because an analyst is there. Kendall Daniels, okay? But look, each kid is their own kid. I'm not criticizing the kid, but hopefully recruits know this now, that you need to now choose a school where you are the happiest. If a coach is fired now, especially now that there is so much pressure for you to sign in the early signing period. So it is very fascinating. Kendall Daniels is his name. So look, I would be very happy if he came to LSU. I would be very interested to know, because that's what Shea wrote. That might not be the 110% reason why he didn't end up staying with Texas A&M, but it is fascinating that an analyst, that is pretty wild. So Darian says Kendall is more of a linebacker in my opinion, but he wants to play safety bad. And that's the thing, Alan. Analysts do no coaching. Well, they do. They don't do any on-field coaching per se. I don't know, V-Long, what the deal is with the NLIs now. I don't know. I really don't. I don't even think really all the colleges know what you can and cannot do now. So I bring that up because that's where Ed Orgeron wants to. They offered him, according to what Shea wrote today. If I don't remember, or if I remember correctly, that's who LSU wants to get for that final scholarship slot. Get another hybrid safety linebacker type, which is fine. That is something that would be very interesting. But understand, when you get a kid out of high school, they are rarely ever immediately able to play. So that's going to be really fascinating. So do you guys think LSU should go after that kid, or should they leave that final slot open? Rare Kicks, what's up? So, I just don't know. I just don't know enough about that kid's situation. But it is very fascinating. It really is. Alan says, no, go get an offensive lineman. But what if there's not one available? Smashing that bell is worthless. Oh, Jared, I'm sorry about that. So we do live streams every Tuesday nights at 7 Central. And we do live streams Saturday night at 7 Central. I do have a gig next Saturday night. So next Friday will be our next weekend live stream. So, Jared, our next live stream will be on Tuesday. Some of you say hold the spot, save it for the 2022 class. Okay. So why hold the spot, though, if you have the opportunity to get a top 100 player, right? Isn't that what the spots are for? I don't know if I'd want to save it for another recruit, maybe a transfer, right? I don't know, Trey. I haven't checked the offensive line transfer portal. Somebody say save the spot for next year. That's what Alabama did. I mean, heck, they were able to sign, 27 kids? It's pretty wild. But who said they wanted to talk DBs? Michael, you've been sick. I hope you're feeling better, man. More talent. I agree. I hope LSU offers Jordan Allen. I really do. I think Jordan Allen's really good. Cliff, that's also very interesting. With the scholarship reductions coming, I say hold the spot. That might actually be the best course of action. Maybe LSU looks at it this way. Look, we're going to be losing guys anyway. So if we don't get another guy, that helps alleviate another problem with really, I would guess I would say galaxy brain, addition by subtraction. Trey, yeah, he's a no-go. I don't know where he ended up. Something happened with LSU going after grad transfers. I don't know. Some people said something with Jabril Cox. I don't know. I don't know. Tony, what's good? Yeah, I don't know either, Michael. Michael, are you feeling better though? Let's see. That you are talking about Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons was a monster. Ironically, Arkansas should have had Isaiah Simmons, but Brett Bielema didn't offer him. And I think that's what happened. I think that was what started the divide between Brett Bielema and Sam Pittman, ironically. So, look, there's going to be so much mental and actual roster gymnastics LSU's going to have to do over the next couple of years. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with all of that. I know Allen got 2 of the top 3 safeties and Matthew Langlois, but the difference here is, and this is a big difference, is that college football is spreading out more. So if you think this kid who got out of his Texas A&M agreement, if you think this kid can cover people in space, I honestly think that's going to be the position, in the words of the famous song Feet Pick, I think that's going to be the position that's going to be at a premium. I really do. Couldn't keep water down. Sucks. Got my Super Saiyan. Kamehameha. Oh, man. I like it. So, yeah, it's going to be the key. Can you get guys that can guard guys into space? And that's going to be the, what everybody wants over the next couple of years. And the funny thing about that is there is a finite amount of players. I honestly think there is. Babe, are you eating right now?
No, not yet.
You waiting for me?
Nope.
You're not waiting for me?
I have some breaking news I'm dealing with right now.
That's breaking news. Trey, I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't have anything. I had an out there piece I wanted to do. I kind of want to write a book on LSU football. I still got to get the merch made. I still got to figure out the email list, because what Jared said really bothers me, that the notifications don't ring up. And I'm thinking about starting a website to make that a little bit easier for you. But honestly, all that stuff costs money and time, and I want to make sure that I continue to produce great videos. Alan wants more film breakdowns. The film breakdowns are fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. The problem with the film breakdowns is they do take a lot of time. I do like to reach out to a college coach that I may or that I know to break the play down for me. My next film study, I actually did get 2 different college coaches to break a play down, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier. The only problem with film breakdowns is I'm not allowed to make money on YouTube off of it. Well, currently I'm not. And I don't want to get into the technicalities, but all the other content I'm able to make some AdSense. So 1 or 2 a month. Okay, I'll keep that up. Let's see. Do you foresee any D-line switching positions along the line? That's a good question. That was kind of the weird thing with the Joseph Evans thing because Joseph Evans was, you know, reportedly rumored to get a starting spot on the offensive line. I just don't understand with that unit that struggled so much why they didn't switch him back. And then on top of that, LSU's defensive tackle play was not great last year. It just wasn't. To run a 4-3, you got to have some hosses in the middle. And we didn't have a Kyle Williams or a Lavallee or a Dorsey. And you don't even necessarily need to have a transcendent talent like those guys. You just got to have, better guys. And Glenn Logan and Neil Farrell aren't used to playing those positions. And Jaquelin Wall is a true freshman. And Joseph Evans switched over. And, we'll see. I appreciate that. I'll do this. I'll do the film study. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. I'll do that film study this week though, because I'm going. Michael, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to show you, and this was really cool. I had this coach, and he did it on his own, and that was great. So I reached out to him, and I said, "Hey, can you break down this red zone play for me?" And I got a text, and it said, "Hold on," and he immediately drew the play out for me. He drew it. It was so cool to hear a coach whose life is dedicated to offensive line play break it down for me. And he's not a Division I coach. He's not some big time guy, but he's really good. He's probably the smartest football mind I've ever been good friends with. Haley knows him too. And, he's just a super nice guy down to earth. And he drew it down. And I'm going to get his permission to see if it's okay if I show you all the breakdowns and pre-snap reads. It was so cool. I get chills thinking about it. It was really cool. And if I get his confirmation, I could share his write down of what every offensive lineman's key was supposed to be. I'll share that this week. Yeah, the running game's got to get better. And we talked a lot about that earlier. LSU 3-point whatever yards per rush, 106th in the country. Tony, I like that sticker. That hype sticker. Look at that. You guys, I'm in rare form tonight. The legend status. This is still the coolest LSU shirt ever. Legend status. And this shirt is just so on brand because it's legit legend status. Because of this guy right here, man. This freaking dude right here. This guy. This guy. Legend status, man. Nike really nailed this. This is just such a cool shirt. And I hardly ever wear it. I really do. That's a funny thing, Alan. Like, I just refuse to believe Mo Hampton, who almost killed Jalen Hurts, is just a bad football player. I struggle to believe that dude just can't play at all. Because last year, there was times I was like, can this guy just not play? There's just no way. There's no way he's that bad. How can a human being be that bad? It's so weird. I think he has a bounce back year. I really do. If he wins the starting spot. But, we're really and that's the kind of scary thing. We're panicking at the safety spot when our safety class in 2022 is going to be freaking amazing. Durante's here. So you hire an NFL coach who is really good at coaching safeties. And as much as Durante coached Harrison Smith, don't you think Durante learned a thing or two from Harrison Smith as well and Xavier Howard? Don't you think that guy, Durante, is going to find it? It's just hard for me to believe that two of these guys can't be starters. Jordan Tolles, Todd Harris, Mo Hampton, Sage Ryan, Derek Davis Jr. Can two of those guys, Cam Lewis, two of those 6 guys play? Exactly. Jacoby. Nick, I don't think you meant to say Jacoby. Well, Michael, you're not going to see any cards at Walmart right now. You will not. Tony, you've been quiet tonight. Not Tony Roya, Tony Bryant. We have so many Tonys that watch our channel. And the funny thing is, none of you, well, actually, I'm guessing none of you are Italian. Every Tony I've ever met is an Italian. Oh, Nick, you're saying Jacoby Matthews. I like that. Okay. All right, Trey. We'll see you, man. Everyone say bye to Trey. Trey is one of our number 1 super chatters. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Trey. Tony, you're French and Indian? That's a good mix right there. I actually have some French and Indian in my blood, too. Je suis allé coucher maintenant. That's what Trey is doing right now. Who here knows French? Je suis allé coucher maintenant. That's what Trey's going to do right now. Let me see if someone knows French in here. Trey is doing this right now. Je suis, Mo Funky, I know you know this. Je suis allé coucher maintenant. You know what that means, baby? Je suis allé coucher maintenant. You know what that means?
I'm in a relationship with a Creole guy. Yeah. Let the good times roll.
No, that's not what that one means.
Oh.
That's laissez les bon temps rouler.
Okay, that's laissez les bon temps.
That's
rouler.
She's.
I tried.
He said, "Let the good times roll."
Did I not try?
No, you tried.
Is Uncle Cliff in there? He's gonna clown me on that. I tried.
Oh man. Laissez les bon temps. That one's great. So everyone knows Laissez les bon temps rouler. And if you were a Dexter's Laboratory fan, you know this one. Omelette du fromage. You remember Dexter's Laboratory? Baby, do you remember that? Laboratory? No, it's Dexter's Laboratory.
Don't nobody say no laboratory. I'm back to my.
So if you watch Dexter's Laboratory, you know omelette du fromage means what? Omelette du fromage. Omelette du fromage. The confidence was there. That's all that matters. Your confidence. Omelette du fromage is cheese omelet. Cheese omelet. That is what that is. Okay? Je suis allé coucher maintenant is I'm going to bed now. And everyone is like, shut up. Tell us if we're getting Jacoby Matthews. So, look, I don't know. I'm pretty sure J. Suiale Couche Magnon means going to bed now. I'm pretty sure. Now, I'm shocked that we don't have one French-speaking person watching our live stream. But my grandfather, who is now deceased, served in World War II. When I would go stay with him in New Roads, Louisiana, he would always say that to me. He would always say that before I went to bed. My grandfather, who died when I was in 9th grade, my best friend. Best friend.
Oh.
I know. I get emotional talking about him. I'm over it. When he died, I used to cry every single day. I cried every single day for a year straight. Still haven't recovered.
Cliff in there clowning me yet.
Nah, everybody was. Our guy from Turkey, from Little Rock too. The confidence was there.
It was there.
So he would say that to me. And the reason why he would say that to me is because he always preached getting a good night's rest, which is something I still don't do. I don't. I never go to bed on time. I don't. And then I have to reposition Booger and everything. But still. But she yells me at night. Every night. I get Dwayne The Rock Johnson doesn't have one of these. I'm telling you, that is a real corporate elbow. Look at that bone. Imagine that sinking into your eye socket while you're trying to get a good night's sleep. Imagine that.
What am I doing though?
You say, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?"
Shut up.
And you say that while you're sleeping, and you yell that. It's been over 22 years. Whitetail's been on rare form. Okay, yeah, Dexter's Laboratory. Okay, so
laboratory card, Brian.
So I say that is because, and the reason why I think about New Roads, Louisiana, is I'm telling you, I will cry if Matthew Langlois doesn't work out. First off, it's just cool that someone from New Roads is going to be out there for LSU on scholarship. We're not talking about a walk-on. So I have a heavily vested interest that Matthew Langlois works out. Now, look, New Roads, Louisiana. I mean, it's home for me. That is my favorite place on the freaking planet. And New Roads Mardi Gras is a different type of ratchet behavior. And this is a crazy thing, is like so many people are talking about, you'd have Mardi Gras this year. Well, the ratchetness goes up the smaller the Mardi Gras town you go to. The real ones know what I'm talking about. Fat Tuesday gets so wild in small town Louisiana. Oh, you just woke up? Wait, it's 6 a.m. in Turkey right now. That's cool. Worldwide. Powder Puff Girls is a very underrated show. It is such an Buttercup. Buttercup will give you a 1-2. I'm telling you, that was a great show. Homo Mardi Gras. Oh, I bet you Homo Mardi Gras is a different type of debauchery. That Mojo Jojo. Thibodeau. I'm sure Thibodeau gets wild too. Thibodeau. Tib nasty. Mojo Jojo. I would like to go to a home in Mardi Gras, but then I don't know. So my best friends in college were actually from Homa. Homa Thibodeau. But you see, people just think Mardi Gras is just New Orleans, and it's a big part of it. But small town Mardi Gras gets crazy. Justin, man, that is such a bold question to ask 2 hours into the live chat on Myles Brennan week. Well, Myles Brennan week is almost over.
Of course I'm back.
I'm not going anywhere. Beast. I
see you.
That is so funny, Bless. but rated E for everybody. But dude, that show was transferred, and you got to think about it, and not to get really meta here, but that show was pre-female empowerment era, right? That show was huge, for women growing up, and I loved that show. I really did. I loved all those old Cartoon Network shows. Rated E for everybody. That is crazy. I've got to screenshot that. That is just an all-time great comment. Johnny Bravo. There is a viewer that watches our channel, and he goes by Johnny Bravo. And I doubt his real name is Johnny Bravo. I wish he was watching right now. Babe, what was your favorite cartoon? What was your favorite cartoon?
Huh?
What was your number one cartoon?
Rugrats.
You're a Rugrats? I thought you were going to say Rugrats.
You didn't like Rugrats?
Well, I did. They're bringing it back. The animated Rugrats.
Yeah.
You like it?
Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles. Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was good.
Actually, you know what? You know what my favorite of life was?
What?
Daria.
Daria? What? We are not getting... That's a deep cut. Daria's a deep cut. Daria's a...
Actually, I was a big Doug fan.
Doug.
Skeeter.
Everyone knows Skeeter was black, not blue. If everyone understood,
black.
If everyone understood the show, and then you had Patty Mayonnaise, and then you had Roger Funny, Doug was ahead of its time.
Oh, Wild Thornberries was everything.
Nigel Thornberry. Rocco's modern. I was a big Rocco guy.
Don't you remember when you would tell me some certain outfit that I would wear look like?
Oh, you look.
Thornberry's
You got some. You got some Eliza Thornberry pants on.
Eliza Thornberry.
Skeeter was. Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold.
Okay, so on
Olga.
a pure comedy, like as a comedian now. The show that I respect more Recess was good. The show that I respect more in retrospect is Space Ghost. Space Ghost. You see, when I was little, I just liked the show. But now going back, the comedy on that show was so good. It was so well written. It was so well performed. And then you had Zorak. Remember Zorak?
I never watched Space Ghost.
Oh, Space Ghost was deep. Space Ghost was deep. He had Zorak, Cat Dog, Recess, Rocket Power.
Loved Rocket Power. They skateboarded like crazy.
Chappelle Show? Oh, come on. That's not a cartoon.
What about them bringing the Chappelle Show back?
Oh, no, they're not bringing it back, are they?
Bullshit.
No, they just put it back on Netflix because Dave had to get his rights back. He did. He pressured. That was so crazy. And as a comedian, I respect that Dave was able to pressure Netflix in giving him the rights to his own show. That is so cool. And that's the way it should be. The people that create the content should be the owners. Stoop Kid. That was such an iconic episode. Exactly, Cliff. You have to go back.
I don't remember.
So
Space Ghost
was Space Ghost's comedy was very similar to the Galifianakis Between Two Ferns. The kind of spoof comedy,
so
the way it was written, it was not quite like Gary Shandling show or whatever. It was that kind of comedy. Thundercats. Now that's deep. Boondocks. Now look, not everybody's ready for Boondocks discussion. I didn't actually watch a whole lot of Boondocks. The PJs. Claymation. Dude, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? I freaking if you want to get deep into real comedy, if you want a comedy hot take, here you go. Okay, this is kind of a side note. The real kings of comedy was Bernie Mac and the other three guys. I honestly thought Bernie was so much funnier than the other three guys. And that doesn't mean Sid or Steve Harvey or DL aren't funny comics. Bernie was the only guy to me that just murdered every single time. Now that's just stand up me talking. But Bernie would be the only guy that I would pay to go watch perform. The other three guys are okay stand-ups. They're better at other stuff outside of stand-up comedy. But that is a comedy hot take. Also, Space Ghost is great. That's another comedy hot take. And Space Ghost was so before its time. It really was. Boondocks will be written about in textbooks one day. The way that show is structured is so interesting. Kane, you know what? I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's one of those things. Like, DL's just not for me. Now that doesn't mean he's not, a killer. That doesn't mean he's not great. It's just not. Yu Hakusho. Tony, you dropped a Dragon Ball Z reference earlier. I got to give you some credit for that. Let's see some other cartoon hot takes. Doug was good. Ren and Stimpy was my favorite. Ren and Stimpy was absolutely my favorite. I did like SpongeBob a lot. I really did. I was a huge Dragon Ball Z guy as I got older. But, I just don't watch any cartoons anymore. However, never got too big into South Park. I liked it. I just never got too big into it. I did get big into Family Guy. I really did like Family Guy. You still watch anime? Yeah. Some people still do. Some Barney watching youngins. Family Guy or South Park? I would say Family Guy. Okay. Family Guy was a little bit, well, no, I wouldn't say it's more mainstream. I wouldn't say that. I don't know, because both are really good in their own ways. Transformers and Thundercats. Darkwing Duck. Some of you guys are sharing your age. Jared says, Tom and Jerry. Leonard's going way. Leonard dropped the Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry.
What about Bugs Bunny?
Bugs Bunny. That's old school. Simpsons. Yeah. I mean, the Simpsons are just iconic. The hardest I've ever laughed was the Simpsons Evel Knievel episode. That is the hardest I've ever laughed on any one cartoon episode. That episode is just so next level. Leonard says, I'm 52. Leonard said, I'm dropping a Tom and Jerry reference to let you know us 50 and older are still watching the stream. Simpsons is way better than Family Guy to me. A lot of people that were huge Simpsons fans would say the same thing. I would actually say the opposite. I liked Family Guy more than the Simpsons. Oh, Leonard, is it your birthday? Wait, Leonard, is it your birthday? Because if it is your birthday and we were out celebrating, you would still be paying for the salmon. Leonard owes me a salmon dinner. I want everyone to know that. Leonard, it is your birthday. Hey, we have a birthday on the channel. Haley has your pods. Happy birthday, Leonard. What are you doing tonight, man? What are you? No, if it was your birthday and we were out, I would buy your dinner, Leonard, because I'm a big believer in not making the birthday boy pay, right? But Leonard, congratulations, you turned 52. Oh, Leonard's Eating with his daughter. Oh yeah, later you previewed this. Well, that's great, man. You get to spend time with your daughter. Hope y'all are having a good time watching a live stream. Your daughter's probably like, why are you watching this guy? He's not even talking about LSU football. He's talking about Goku and Vegeta and 9,000. Went sushi and he got salmon. Of course. That's what Haley gets. Haley doesn't eat rice. I love it, man. Well, on that note, I don't see any super chats. I don't see any Venmos here, so we'll go on ahead and end this as we always do. Are there any other questions? Congratulations. She's turning 14 next week. Happy birthday to her. Like I said, on the Friday show with Kareem and his son, Caden, we want this channel to be a father-daughter, father-son, mother-daughter experience. Watch us with your cousins, your friends, your families, your wives, husbands, side chicks, side dudes, whatever. Real Monster. You remember Real Monster, the thing with his armpit hair and his two eyeballs? Well, all right, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Hey, are we eating together tonight? We're eating together. We're wrapping it up. For what?
Sorry.
Why would you say that?
Sorry. Are you really wrapping it up?
We're wrapping it. Oh, you're not going to wait for me to eat?
You're going to be 45 more minutes.
No. I'm going to wrap. Haley's got the food warm, so I'm going to go ahead. And, of course, I rarely wrap it up.
Carter.
It's a joke. All right, guys. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. See you guys Monday. Let's go. Boom. Space Ghost.